in today's session, we'll look at part of the steps you need to take in order for you to develop that work abilities. Throughout this week, we are focusing on the work factor in growth journey. So the second thing we need to look at, apart from what we discussed yesterday, that has to do with the mentality of an entrepreneur, is also for you to look at what are those critical actions that need to be taken in order for you to be able to put those mindset to use, right? And it's again focused on business because that is the easy avenue by which you can establish value stream. That's the easy access by which you can establish value stream and value proposition. So how do you then develop winning ideas that you can turn into reality, moving from conception through planning and execution phase of business management? So those are the kind of things we want to explore today, because if you are working, you want to work in such a way that your energy that you're dispensing, the way you are utilizing your brain is productive. We've talked about productivity, right? So you want to ensure that you are focused on something that will deliver value. And the only way I know how to deliver value is through ideation. Intentionality has to be put into this. So that's why it is an ideation process. You must be intentional about the idea and then how you can now turn that idea into reality. Okay. So looking at the world we live in now, the world is seriously in need of problem solvers because there are too many problems and it seems to be evolving on a daily basis. Are you trying to solve a problem? Another problem is emanating. That is why I mentioned to you that the best solution is the one that has inherent in it the least problem that is emerging, because every problem has inherent, every solution has inherent in it problems. So the best one is the one that has the least problem that is going to showcase or be the consequence. Like all these drugs in medical sciences, when they invent drugs or medical drugs and all of that, they always have side effects, right? And some, after a prolonged time of not being able to manage the side effects, they will have to take it off shelf, right? So everything in life, as you're trying to bring about solution, has in itself certain level or dimension of problems. But the best one is one that has the least manageable problem in it, right? Which is, of course, has to be driven through a sustainable process of problem management. So we want to look at in this journey how you can dream big, how you can ideate, and how you can learn to turn those ideas and your dreams into reality, or what I call valuable ventures, maximizing profits. And if it's going to be in the case of social enterprise, you are actually creating impact streams. You are creating indelible impacts, right? So these are things that I want you to focus on today, and then begin to see how to turn around your life. Some you have to turn around your life 360 degrees. Some you have to, take a new course to begin to determine your trajectory. I'm not saying the years you spent in whatever it is you're doing is wasted. For me, no knowledge is lost. But hey, at this point in time, you need to determine exactly how you want to build your progression, how you want to build your trajectory, your development, your growth, right? So let's look at the first thing first. It was Guy Kawasaki. I don't know how many of us know him. He's a Japanese business tycoon. He's written quite a number of books. He's the one that said ideas are easy, pretty much easy, because it's as simple as dreaming. So dreaming is free. Anybody can dream. In fact, every night when you sleep, you consciously, unconsciously have dreams, right? So ideas are very, very free. And if you are very logical and intentional enough, every moment an opportunity for you to ideate. As you're seeing things, you're observing things, you know, you are developing that attribute, uh, uh, um, that posture, the nature, the trait of critical thinking. Because the more you look at things intentionally, the more you look at things intently, the more you are going to be seeing different views and perspectives about those things. You look at a flower one time, second time, third time, the fifth time, the way all these sighting are going to be resonating with you will not be the same. The first degree of you looking, the second degree of you looking, the third degree turns to you seeing, and then you begin to look at, there are some certain details. When you begin to focus on what you're seeing, there are certain details, because that's what ideation is all about. You are taking higher level of focus on something, on an element or a subject, you know. So these things are very, very free. You don't need to pay any dime. You don't need to owe anybody in order for you to be able to idea. So it's pretty much easy. But hey, the implementation, the execution of whatever it is, no matter how stupid or how foolish or how sensible that thing is, the implementation is pretty hard, because there is a wide gap between ideation and implementation or execution. So this is exactly what Guy is trying to remind us of. And that's why we need to see how to bridge it. Okay. The great divide, the great gap between ideation and execution. Right. So how do you bridge it? Because if you're unable to bridge it, then there is no way you can define a continuous path of delivering value. There's no way you can define the continuous path of solving problems. There's no way you can put yourself out there as solution providers, as problem solvers, right? So all those simple, simple ideas that can even make a small hinge open big doors, right? That can revolutionize even the course of the entire world. As simple as those things are, they can be translated into executable tasks. They can be translated into executable solutions. So how do you get that done? That's where the main task is. And I believe that by the time we're able to go through this conversation today, you should be able to pick one or two things that will motivate you to begin to launch yourself out there in order for you to be able to implement whatever ideas it is that you have, even when you don't think you have a full grasp or full understanding of what the idea is all about. But how do you take the first step and the next step and continue to build on that, right? So I'll say that the progression of you solving a problem, right, is in the understanding of what idea is. So I, for one, have actually interpreted idea into an acronym, IDEA, wherein I stand for innovation. Okay. No matter how much you are dreaming, even right there in your dream, you should be able to have a control or command of what you are thinking about, right? You should be able to have, I mean, many people dream and they don't even remember their dreams, but it's a skill. Okay. It's a skill when you begin to, with a high level of intentionality, when you begin to now master the art of not just only knowing what you are dreaming about, or being able to also manage. Okay. The knowledge is a level, but the management of your dream is also another level. And that's why you can now begin to mold and shape your dream into profitable ideas, into viable ideas. Okay. Maybe you've watched too much of movies and you are just seeing the future, blah, 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 and all of that. And then you sleep and then you begin to see and dream about the future. So, how do you have a full grip and command over that dream and then turn them into simple ideas that you can manage effectively and take through the process? So, that's what I called innovation, because creativity, the consequence of creativity is innovation, right? So, when you're having creative thinking or critical thinking, you must be able to launch yourself into innovation. So, that's the first thing. Then, D stands for design and development. Okay, you must be able to interpret, and this happens when you're trying to bridge the great divide, the bridge the gap between ideation, and implementation. What bridge these two is what I called process of development or process of design. And even within that, you have pre-design, you have design, development phases. You have different phases, but we're not going to go deep into because all these are just strategic jargons. But the important thing is you must be able to move from how you are managing the dreams. You have the first dream. And before I even move away from dreaming and innovation process, you know, the easy way to manage, because this thing is very free. You don't need to go to any school or go to any session for you to be able to learn this. The easy way to manage your dream is always have visibility on remembrance. Think about something, you dreamt about something, just quickly write it down. Remember when we discussed about journaling, this is where you need that skill. Anything you, sometimes I even use my voice notes, right? There are some ideas that come to my mind and I don't want to. Most times when I fail to quickly document those ideas or those concept or dreams that come to me. Maybe I just see something and some things, why weird or foolish things just come to my mind. And, you know, it's just like someone taking paper and you are just ruffling it. You know, normally you should discard it. But this is how some people develop concepts, right? This is how some people develop concepts. I remember when I was in the School of Design in architecture, when I was still studying in my undergrad, one of the proponents of modern architecture that I really tailored my design development towards has to be with Frank Gehry. If you read about Frank Gehry, this guy, the way he thinks is just outside of the box. He can just pick a paper and just roughing it and then throw it on the floor. And whatever he sees becomes is a process of conceptualizing design. You know, you can just look at those irregular curves, those vertices. I mean, so that is exactly what it means when you're journaling. You know, it can be so sketchy, it can be so unrealistic, it can be, in fact, it can even be meaningless. It might be pointless. It might not have any vertex. You might not be able to type, but make sure if you're thinking about it, make sure you write it down, because the next time you would need to remember, you may not fully remember everything. But once you've written it down, raw as it is, you can always go back. Either you recorded it in voice format or you wrote it down in words, black and white. You can always revert and go back. And by the time you do that repeatedly, right, you will discover that you've created a catalog of ideas, and that's what we call ideation process. So the first one may not make sense, second one may not make sense, but the third one may now begin to look like something that you can relate with and all of that. So that is what innovation means, right? Then you now move into development and design. So as you begin to filter all these ideas that is coming to you, the foolish one, the ones that you can't connect with any goal and all of that, the ones that you cannot begin to see the potential of connection, you know, the potential that this thing can be associated or can be a bridge in solving a problem. So you start sifting those ones out, put them in another backlog, right? Put them in another folder. Know that, yes, this one I need to give more attention to it. So the process of doing that is what we call the design and development. Because at the end of the day, those are the ones that you now need to give more focus on, right? You need to now begin to make some kind of evaluation. You need to do research on them. You need to find out, because I used to tell people in design, nothing is new actually under heaven. Every new design, every new concept you come out eventually is something you actually emanate from something that ever existed before or that is in existence. What I mean by that is usually carry out case studies. You do your empirical findings to collect data. Usually in every research development, you have to do case studies, right? You observe 2, 3, 4 case studies, depending on the scale of project, so that you can do some kind of comparison. Then you now improve on what is existing. So that is exactly what the D stand for, okay? So nothing new under heaven. In one way or the other, it has existed before. Now you now need to begin to prove on it. Look at the process of development of all these tech ideas and all of that. The day I was reading about AI and I learned that AI had always been, even from pre-civilization era and all of that, there had always been a similar effect of AI and all of that. It's just that it has not been packaged in the way it's being delivered to us now, right? And so are other new innovations or new development that will happen in the future. So you need to ensure that you do proper feasibility study, right, in the process of you doing those development. Then once you have now done with the development, the E stand for experimentation or the execution, because this is when you now put it to test, right? This is where you validate the idea to be sure that the idea makes sense truly and is going to solve the problem. Or to what degree is it going to solve the problem? Do you need to make improvements? Do you need to make continuous changes or needs in order for you to be able to adjust? The first time you even launch it might be a failure, right? The first time you're going to try it out, either you taking a sample people, the ones they call a beta test, right? You just take few sample of people, and then you want to launch it with those people and get feedbacks for improvement. So these are all the things you do with the E, because you want to be sure that this is actually targeted towards solving the particular needs or the problem that is focused on. Then the final A is you ascertaining the achievements, because you are going to be monitoring the progress by which the idea that you have launched, the idea you have turned into a solution, is truly delivering value to people. I used to tell people whatever it is that you are doing, maybe as a product development or a service you are rendering as an organization, as long as it's not delivering value to people, it becomes a threat to humanity. You must take it out of existence. You must, even if it's what is generating most profit for you, you must take it out of the existence, because it's just a matter of time before you see it as a major threat. And these are the key to business fulfillment, to business achievement. Anything you are doing, there are so many. Take any of the industry, for instance. There are many products out there that are not delivering value. Rather, they are limiting and they are causing more harm. They are more like limitations and causing more harm to humanity or even our environment as it were. So those kind of things, you need to monitor them, you need to assess them and ensure that they amount to the fulfillment or the accomplishment, the achievement of your goal, the achievement of your purpose. If not, you need to eliminate it and then recreate your idea. You re-ideate, you go through again the process of ingeniously bringing up new solutions. So that is how the cycle goes on and on that you need to understand. So what are the processes by which you want to generate ideas? Perhaps you feel, oh, you don't have any idea. Like, I hate hearing that thing. When I ask someone a question and the person says, oh, no idea, I'm like, no, you can't just, it's not possible as a human being, you don't have idea, no matter how foolish or how unreasonable the idea may be or how illogical. Because sometimes when people just talk out of sense, they don't really think deep. They are not critical thinkers. They are not logical thinkers like sanguines. They just talk, open their mouth, and anything can come out. It's fine, right? Even in the foolishness of what is being said, you can actually create something that will align with common sense. But the level of attention that need to be given, the level of validation, the level of assessment that need to be given in order for you to be able to create sense out of nonsense is what many people don't want to give or commit to, right? So if you are looking at different methods, they are just something, well, I don't want to say shortcut, but there are simpler ways by which you can go about it, while there are other more commitments, higher level of which will give you even more precision when it comes to you validating your ideas, or whatever it is you are thinking about. So the easier one is brainstorming. Sometimes you just want to take counsel. Sometimes whatever it is you're thinking about, you want to be sure that it aligns with common sense. It aligns with the trend. You are not like, I think it was last month, a friend reached out to me and was sharing about a dream or something. He's just thinking that would help in the industry and all of that. And by the time he finished narrating the whole idea, I'm like, this is fantastic. But hey, that is not going to be the direction by which you need to approach this. So all of this is an example of brainstorming, right? You are trying to share, or you are in the midst of a support group where you are, as people are talking, it might be a process by which you two are going to even create your own idea, right? So there are some people like that they don't have that diligence in doing self-thinking, but rather when other people are thinking, it becomes an opportunity or an avenue to fire up or to instigate the process of them also thinking. So you need to know how to put yourself in those kind of situations, because you need that kind of level of encouragement for you to think, right? Like late Zachariah will always say that we always need to put that thinking cap on, right? So some people need to be helped to put that cap on. So that's one of the benefits of brainstorming. Then the more committed, the one that require high level of commitment has to do with you backing on market research. If there are specific industry that you want to focus on in order for you to be able to solve problems within that dimension, area of interest, area of passion, and all of that, what you just need to do is you carry out, some findings within the industry. You conduct survey, you carry out some kind of questionnaire, or you can even do analysis of data that been generated. Like I told you, I always look out for some publications every year that shows trends and all of that. So this kind of research materials, I always analyze them and then know which one aligns with my purpose and then fix it. How I got into AI, apart in different fields of AI, the one that I needed to focus more on has to do with metaverse and has to do with deep learning. Because those are the key areas that I'm really, really interested in, and they are higher level of artificial intelligence streams. So we need to understand that working with data will give you more precision, will give you more precise results and outcome in validating your ideas than if you are just taking other people's idea, or if you are just speaking to someone. I'm not saying it's wrong talking to someone, but the person will at best, help you with the level of his or her own limited understanding or limited idea as well. But when you take data across board, you can use that to validate it. Then you also have, even sometimes when you take data, you still need to validate data, because there are some data that might have been outdated. There are some that they may just be biased data, but how will you know? So that's the reason why you need to use other precise tools in order for you to validate your ideas, right? Or be able to know which idea is workable, which idea is going to be visible, right? So you can use a tool like SWOT analysis. By now, I know you all know because you conducted assignments on SWOT analysis. So you can easily use SWOT analysis for you to analyze that. There are other higher level of data analysis tool that you can use, but SWOT analysis is pretty much easier. And all you just need to look at is within that idea, what exactly are the areas of strength that you can leverage on, then the weaknesses of the idea. That imagine if the idea is turned into reality, what are the potential risk associated with that idea? Or in the market, how can that idea easily fizzle off in terms of competition? Because there are other competitive ideas that are definitely going to be there. Just like what happened to ChatGPT. ChatGPT has been smiling for the past few years. All of a sudden, DeepSeek came in. Yesterday, I was searching and looking for alternatives to ChatGPT. I was seeing almost about 15 different AI algorithms that have been developed, right? So these are, languages that have been developed, which have been tailored. Some of them are even imitation of ChatGPT itself. So you need to validate all these things so that at the end of the day, those ideas that you think you have, you won't see an imitation of it out there. So you need to have calculated all this so that whatever it is you're now coming out with is with that uniqueness. So once you have been able to settle down on knowing what the ideas are, which has the potential of succeeding if put into planning for you to be able to execute, the next thing you need to do is now to develop a business plan. Don't forget, I've not said anything about you jumping to go and start running a company yet, right? Because before you proceed to determine whether it's going to cut in for you to run a business, to run a full-fledged business, right? You need to have a business plan. Never decide to jump into any business venture without a business plan. And it is just as simple as you creating a robust plan. So here is the gist. The great divide, the bridge that I mentioned to you that lies between ideation and implementation is exactly what this business plan is all about. So I call it planning. Okay. So what do you do in planning? You develop your business proposal. And there are very important area of this document that you need to learn and know how to develop. Otherwise, most ideas fail even before they move into implementation. This is where you will now validate the feasibility. This is where you validate the authenticity. This is where you validate the potential of you achieving success if you are to run into implementation with these ideas. What's the first aspect that you see in these plan documents? The first one is you are going to see a section that requires you to develop a quick overview on what the business idea is all about. We call it executive summary. Okay, you're going to develop an executive summary which showcases or explains what the entire business is all about, right? You're going to tell about the just the brief information about the industry, what's the problem, and what the solution looks like. Just as simple as that. You can also mention who are the resources in terms of the kind of level of skills set that is required for you to be able to pursue that to happen. Then the next thing is for you to do the company description. So here you will have an idea of, okay, if you are going to float this idea in the market, what kind of company do you need? Is it going to be a sole proprietorship? Is it going to be a limited liability company? Depending on the environment, because every environment has policies around registration of company. So you need to understand what type of company is going to be suitable to drive the implementation of your business idea of this idea. So you need to understand that, and then you describe briefly what that company is all about. Is it going to be a construction company? Is it going to be, depending on the industry? So you explain that. Then you talk about the management of that company. Okay, being the CEO, do you need a CTO? Do you need? So you just have a brief idea of, because if you don't analyze that, it will be difficult for you to determine the deficit you're going to have in terms of skill sets, right? Because you won't do it all. You don't know it all. Even if it's going to be a sole proprietorship business, there's still going to be limitations. So, how do you want to bridge that limitation? You need to have an orientation about the way the business idea is going to be managed. So, that's what the management structure will look like. Then you now move into the industry. And this is where you do a detailed market analysis. Okay. So, what I explained to you the other time in ideation, this is where you will come to do proper validation. And you won't just jump into analyzing the market like, okay, maybe you have an IT idea to solve a problem, or in automobile, just like Tesla, right? You don't just go deep into analyzing what the market, the automobile industry is all about, the capital base, the potential in the next 2, 3, 5 years, and all of that. No, you don't jump in there. You first of all look at who are the key competitors in the market, because, like I said, there is no new ideas. It's just new way of managing the idea that you're going to find eventually. You'll be shocked that what you are thinking, more than 100 other people have thought about it, but now in different ways. So how will you be able to bring it into reality is always the problem. But when you look at the competitiveness of the competitive nature of the market, then it can help you. So there's something we call competitive analysis. So you have to do that. Look at the dominant businesses in that same industry. What are they doing? So you conduct SWOT analysis on them. Again, know their strength, their weaknesses, what is the major threats to them, which can be internal or external. Then you also determine what are the areas of opportunity they are leveraging on, because it varies from one organizational ideas to the other, right? And the level of investment they're also making in research and development. So that's what competitive analysis is. Then you'll be able to now help you to determine the kind of ways by which you can leverage on the available opportunity within the industry. Then you also need to fine tune to determine your marketing plan. What kind of strategy are you going to use to be able to establish your customer base? Okay, because if your business idea is so productive enough that you don't have anybody to kind of like use the idea in implementation, is as good as the idea is not feasible, right? So your marketing plan, your marketing strategy is very, very important. Every market has winning strategies. So you need to determine your own unique winning strategy and plan on how you're going to do it. Maybe you do it in an iterative manner. You don't just want to pull all your strategy all at once. So you plan on how you want to do this. For instance, the marketing strategy may just be that you want to use social media basically for the promotion of your product or your idea in implementation, maybe for the first 1 year, for the first 2 years, because you have analyzed the market and you see that your major customers are online. Okay. So rather than focusing on any other form of strategy in marketing, you want to put all your eggs within that stream, right? And then explore the different um, virtual realities. And even in that, nothing stops you from also ideating, a particular stream that you can bring everybody into the bucket. But there are other factors that may determine that, which is now part of what I call the operational plan. So you need to also develop your operational plan, right? An operational plan is telling you in the short term, in the medium term, in the long term, how do you want to sustain the implementation of this business? How do you want to sustain it? Okay. In terms of um, human resource and of course financial resource, how do you want to sustain the business and keep it going? Either you are making profit or you are not making profit, right? So that before you now move into determining at what point are you going to break even, but you need to have that plan to know how you're going to sustain. How many, for instance, how many workers do you really need? Any worker? How many workers do you need to help you push either in the marketing phase or in the front or back end phase? How many people are going to be involved? So you need to have this operational plan for time. And if it's going to be something that you will enable fully by technology, it's going to be fully automated, right? You need to also determine that so that when you now move into your financial plan or your financial projections, what you're going to be doing there is for you to now be putting costs to plan. Okay, you are putting cost to plan, determining what will be the overall expenditures in terms of your OPEX, operational cost, in the short term, in the medium term, and then in the long term, right? Then once you're able to determine that, you can now eventually analyze what your CapEx should be. If you don't know your OPEX, it's very difficult for you to know your CapEx. CapEx is capital and expenditure. How much of investment is required for you to start this business in the short term, in the medium term, and of course, progressively in the long term. Okay, then you can also do a forecast on the profitability of the project. I mean, sorry, of the business plan on this idea. Profitability comes in by the time you begin to compare your revenue against your expenditures. Okay, when you look at the amount you have in your in the investment portfolio and then how much you are generating, and this is for profit business ideas. You can as well have non-profit business ideas in social enterprise, the ones they called non-governmental organization. I mean, they are not profit driven. You have so many global organizations that are like that. You have the likes of the World Bank, you have the United Nations, you have World Trade Organization. There are quite a lot of even government enterprises, government initiatives that are public oriented ideas, initiatives. You have a lot of them. As much as they're commanding billions of dollars, right? They are not profit driven. Rather, their focus is just strictly on impact streams, not on profit derivatives, right? So when you are doing your own financial projections in that realm, you're not going to be talking about profit forecast. What you're going to be talking about is impact levels in the short term, in the medium term, in the long term. What is going to be your impact levels? Are you going to move from impacting this small group of people to this large group of people to global I mean, so global communities and all of that. So how do you intend to scale up your impact? So those are the kind of things that you're going to be looking at, how you're going to spread your impact. So this is the important thing that you need to do when you are developing your business plan. And it is not exhaustive because it depends on the level of the nature of your idea. There are some ideas that are so robust that you have to even break them into smaller chunks. because sometimes we dream utopially. So in conclusion, because I want to play a short video of one of my previous projects, one of my previous business plan developments to us. In conclusion, there's something that Lao Tzu said. I don't know if you have read his book, The Heart of War. There's something he said. He said, the journey of 1,000 miles always begins with a simple step. Always, it is always, and that step may be from this very moment as you're hearing and listening to me, right? The journey, okay, whereby you will attain into building a global conglomerate where you're going to build, a competitive business idea that will be in the same space with unicorn companies, that will be in the same space with Fortune 500 companies, constantly delivering value to people, and as well making huge amount of profits with great capitalization. It always begins with a simple step. And guess what? That step starts with a simple decision. And the decision is for you to be resolute enough to decide that you're going to pursue your goals. So it's not just for you to develop those goals, put them on the paper, but for you to plan on how you want to execute them and turn them into venturable activities, venturable, manageable tasks. So this is what Lau advised. And you can see by the time you begin to take that bold step, I mean, those bold steps, one after the other, you'll see how things pans out and turn into great result for you. So today is the best time for you to start thinking, in the forward direction in order for you to be able to realize your goals this year. And like I said earlier this week, if you have not even set any goal at all, you can as well start from that phase of setting a goal, know exactly what area your dream is posted on, you're focused on, which of the industry in particular. If you don't know what are the existing industry, because sometimes you might just be confused, you don't know where this particular idea falls into, you can always seek for counsel, you can seek for advice to know where to place it. Is it in the tech industry? Is it in the ed tech? Is it in the med tech? Is it in the whichever one, you'll be able to place yourself there, because when you are not rightly positioned, it will be very difficult for you to do proper analysis, either in the market direction or even in the financial direction. You need to be first positioned with your idea before you can now begin to do a robust plan on how you want to do the execution. But don't forget, once you plan, the next thing is for you to develop that keen interest in moving into implementation. Don't throw your plan under the carpet and say there's no money. Money come afterwards. Like I do tell people, that's why after you have your plan, then you can now begin to have the boldness to do pitches, right? You can do pitches. You can then begin to convincingly speak to people about your ideas to see how you can have a win on their side for them to invest into your business, right? But if you don't plan and you are not desirable enough, you are not desiring enough for you to be able to execute your plan, then there's no way you can move into implementation, regardless what the challenges are, right? So I encourage you today, whatever the challenges are, right, that's been pulling you down, whether it's because of your job that you're doing now, it's not enough for you to be pulled down. Like I mentioned yesterday, you can develop that attribute for you to multitask. So you know definitely that one of the things you need to set as a goal for you is learning how to multitask, right? Because you don't want to quit your job now. So you want to collocate this process of developing your business proposal or business plan alongside the job you're doing. So how do you navigate through that? It's part of what you need to explore. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and I'll ask us to, before I show the video I want to show us, I want you to ask questions. Maybe you want to make comments on this. Peter Drucker said the best way to predict the future is for you to be able to create one. So creating that future can start from now. Okay, so let me show the video, but please, I need you to ask question. I need to ask question before I play this video. It's one of my projects. Any question? Are you finding any aspect of your business venture or business idea? Are you finding any challenge? I'm all here with us. Let me know if you have followed me all through. Any question? Any comments?
Yes, I would like to comment on today's class. Can you hear
Okay.
me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. You said you would like to comment, but maybe later. Is that what you said?
No, actually, I'd like to comment on today's class. What you just learned. So, for me, what you taught today has been um something that I've been finding very difficult. When you have a whole lot of ideas but don't know how to implement them or even see your ideas becoming like taking action. It's one of these things that I was asking myself this year. At some point, I thought, okay, I think I should just leave out business and all of that and try to learn. Maybe there's a knowledge gap. Maybe that's what's stopping me from knowing what to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I decided to make this year mostly about learning. But with what we just learned, I think now I know what to learn about. Maybe the few that I have those ideas on now I should be thinking about researching more on them, should be thinking about what the market trends are. I might not really understand it all, but like you say, taking a step will help. And I can always reach out to you as well and to every other person on this group.
Okay,
Thank you
great.
very much.
So the way it goes is you don't need to know everything ab initio, but there's always room for learning. Okay, there's always room for learning. In fact, that is how you will know you are growing. When you realize that what you don't know before through learning, now you know it and you can practicalize it. That's growth projection, right? So you need to set those goals for yourself. Oh, I don't know this thing. I want to know it. How do I know it? I need to learn. I need to be here in this session. I need to, after this session, go to practicalize some of these things. I mean, that's what learning is all about. Knowledge not applied is useless, but knowledge applied is what becomes strength and is what gives leverages, right? So you need to begin to practicalize. And like I just talked about process of analysis, if you think that you need to learn any of these tools in analyzing, then you go and practicalize it. There are several of them. I don't know how many of you have used the SWOT analysis. I even give you a template for the smart tool. I mean, you need to practicalize them. Pick your ideas, your goals. I told you, list your goals. You have those steps. There's even another one on this business plan, the Canva. I'm going to give you the one that we used when I was doing my executive MBA in Quantec. So I'm going to is tailored by the university. I'll give us that, which I believe will also be helpful for you in analyzing any of your business goals or business ideas. I mean, it's a simple Canva that you can use to analyze. So you need to learn this thing, right? You need to learn it and practically learn it so that it becomes a knowledge and bridge the gap for you. Okay. Any other comments or any other question? I see Gberu said your network is bad. You reach out. No problem. Okay. You're even out of the room. No problem. You can just feel free to reach out. We'll discuss. Any other question or comment? If not, let me play this video. Okay. Let me add the sound so that you'll be able to hear when I play it.
Meet Owen, a successful owner-operator of 2 Airbnb vacation rental homes in San Diego, looking to expand his portfolio. However, the San Diego market has become overpriced and oversaturated, and Owen is so highly leveraged that he's unable to find a bank willing to underwrite another mortgage for him. Meet Stacy, a young, successful professional living in San Diego that's become interested in vacation home rentals after staying in a swanky VRBO beach house with her girlfriends last summer. Unfortunately, she doesn't have nearly enough for a down payment in the expensive San Diego real estate market and is worried she lacks the experience to run her own vacation rental property. Lucky for Owen and Stacy, Reslice is here to help. Reslice is an online real estate platform that connects owner-operators like Owen looking to raise capital and reduce his portfolio risk with everyday investors like Stacy who are looking to get exposure to the fast-growing vacation rental market at a fraction of the cost. With the Reslice marketplace, Owen is able to list portions of his properties available for sale, and Stacy is able to buy a slice of any property she is interested in with as much money as she feels comfortable investing. Utilizing the latest and innovative blockchain technologies, Stacy and Owen can rest assured that all transactions, ownership allocations, and rental income distributions are handled securely and automatically. It's win-win for both of them. What's more, Stacy can always resell her property shares on the Reslice marketplace for better liquidity than alternative real estate investing options. With low overhead costs from not owning or operating any of the properties, this means that Reslice is able to pass the savings on to customers through low fees, and our focus on building a loyal community of like-minded property investors will lead to rapid growth and adoption. Reslice is ready to disrupt the traditional real estate investing norms with partners like you. Reslice, real estate investing on your terms. Are you ready to own a slice?
Okay, so I'm sure that you watched the video. It's actually a business idea that myself and four other people, came up together. I mean, we pulled together to establish. So Reslice is a company that focused on the real estate vacation home. The real estate is a very big industry, so you have different aspects of the industry, but we focused on a particular challenge, in the real estate market in the United States that has to do with vacation homes. I'm sure we're all familiar with Airbnb. There are quite a number of them out there, in the United States. So wanted to look at what kind of disruptive idea we can come up with that will kind of like revolutionize the industry. And what we came up has to do with, I mean, just very simple stuff. Whereas people really invest into real estate without having frontal operational involvement, right? But quite limited within the economy. So meaning people outside of US economy don't have opportunity of investing into it. And it's a very booming industry, right? So what we just decided to do is, why don't we leverage on technology to democratize it using blockchain technology, whereby people outside of United States, outside of South America, outside of Europe, in Africa, all over the world, anywhere you are on planet Earth, as long as you can access our blockchain technology, because we created tokens, stable coins, and all of that. So, I mean, this is exactly what we came up with, and it was, I mean, the process of ideating it, process of developing this business case was really, really a learning process for me, right? By the time we're done, we were so encouraged that we had to create this pitch looking for investors. We even competed, in the moonshots that we got up to, out of almost about, if I'm not mistaken, close to about 400 applications, right? We got to the top, the top 20 thereabouts, at the semifinal before we couldn't move past semifinals. The first business idea eventually won about $50,000. So I mean, this is the kind of opportunity that lies out there, right? There's another one which time will not permit me to show us. I also have another business proposal I did. This one is even within the local market here in Nigeria that has to do with solving the problem within the renewable energy markets. Power is a problem in Nigeria, right? So anything you are coming up with within the power sector, as long as it's a viable, feasible, and sustainable solution, it's a welcome idea. I even learned is it World Bank? I can't remember, or maybe it's African Development Bank is injecting about 100 billion naira into the Nigerian energy markets. Sorry, I think it's the federal government through the CBN. I read it earlier today. They are injecting 100 billion into the power sector to provide sustainable power to Nigerian universities. So you can imagine. So already you have a capitalization, free money of 100 billion naira out there, or much more. If your own case is tilting towards solving energy crisis and all of. So these are just the simple way to go. Any business idea that you think about, the opportunities are out there, but how you connect your idea to implementation, to reality, has to do with how much of time you give to planning, doing all these things I've explained to you, and creating your robust business plan, and then look at how you can iteratively begin to implement it. Right. So that's it. Any question? Any question? Or comment, feedbacks? Olanle, Joshua, Comfort, Utman, any feedback? Any question? Okay, if no one is talking, we'll close for the day, for this session. Okay, no problem. I'll leave you to meditate on this. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.